huge thanks for joining myself. It's a pleasure to be doing a live on YouTube. Um, Look, I'm with one of the partners, recently become partner at Ronald Fletcher Baker Solicitors. So you were explaining to me before we were doing this interview, Mahfuz, that in terms of how you classify Ronald Fletcher Baker in terms of the top 500. Do you want to just explain to listeners very briefly?
Sure. So Ronald Fletcher Baker LLP is a legal 500 recognized law firm established in 1948. We're what you call a full commercial service law firm, as in we operate corporate commercial transactions, family matters, private wealth matters. Of course, properties are core specialism, property litigation, commercial litigation. So definitely we cover the breadth of the legal um, industry, and our clients benefit from that. So we've got expertise in all the areas rather than just any given one. And so, and for us, it's also about how we deliver that service as well in terms of a personal, efficient, and sharp communication. And for that, we hope that allows us to stand out and give our clients the best service we can give.
So Mahfuz, just briefly, opportunities in commercial. So your presentation on August the 15th is going to be focused on commercial investing from a legal perspective.
Yeah.
And we were discussing about the RICS, was it a RICS survey?
The RICS, the Royal Institute of Chartered Surveyors. Yes.
There's a recent survey which came out.
Quarter 1 of 2018. That's
Quarter
what
one.
I analysed. Yeah.
And it showed that in terms of office space, office was rising, the market.
So the RICS gave the Quarter 1 2018 survey gave a kind of review of the market to date, and it compared three of the commercial sectors: retail, office, and industrial. So for us as lawyers, I act for a lot of commercial property investors. Therefore, we need to have a decent idea as to what the market is doing, so we can react to our clients' needs. We can provide that service and that we need to do to be able to cater the market.
And right now it's a tenant's market rather than a landlord's market.
Yes, so therefore, in office space, they say that there's been some form of a recovery, especially in primary office areas. And I think that's a push and pull factor, mainly because you've got the rise of co-working spaces as a result of the gig economy, and landlords have been able to react to that and take and grasp those opportunities. And lawyers have also been able to kind of manage that and understand how the conventional 10-year lease or a 5-year lease, how do we need to adapt that, how do we need to change that to facilitate these new requirements. And the secondary point pushing this as well is the amount of office to resi conversion that has been taking place in secondary office spaces under PD. So because of that, there has been some modest increase in office space, and modest and really good increase if you compare it to retail, which primary and secondary retail has been taking some form of a hit.
Because some people put off commercial, and one of the reasons why, possibly because it was a landlord's market at one point, and the clauses were not like residential.
Sure.
The clauses were more commercial, and commercial. I'm sure you're going to go into the clauses in a lot more detail on the 15th of August. In terms of residential, it's easier to break the clause than commercial.
So the thing is, right now, where the market is in retail and office, retail definitely is a tenant's market. And why that is relevant is when you're doing what we do on a daily basis, when we draft leases for clients, whether that's a renewal of a lease, whether that's a grant of a new lease. It's basically that negotiation for the landlord and tenant needs to take place, and that takes place at the backdrop of what the market is doing. So therefore, stuff such as rent-free periods, break clauses, which allows the tenant to terminate the lease, service charge caps. So that comes into place at a better tenants market, where the tenant is able to kind of have more of a bargaining power, and that's definitely the case when it comes to retail, because it's a struggling market and landlords need to be flexible in order to attract tenants and to also keep tenants on. However, such as in a market where so I do a lot of work in the industrial sector. A lot of my clients either lease industrial spaces or rent out industrial spaces.
What's the typical client in industrial?
Industrial space, industrial, I think people can have a misconception. Industrial means really heavy machinery. That's not the case. It could be storage, distribution, logistic, especially with the kind
Like, I'm not saying one of your clients is Access Storage or Big Yellow. I'm not saying that whatsoever because I really don't know. But
they may be.
okay, but you see a growth in that particular.
Of course, it's because of the way online shopping has transformed the way people shop, and therefore the need for prime retail has declined, and the need for to keep a lot of items in a big space, and that the demand for that has increased.
For example, the Amazon event.
Precisely, and so therefore that is classified industrial, and those areas are showing, that sector of the market is showing a great demand. There's a lack of space, and therefore in that sector it's definitely a landlord's market. The landlord is able to dictate what happens year on year on. The rent is increasing for those matters, as the RIC survey showed. So therefore in that area, I think as a lawyer, there's less inducements that one has to kind of cater towards tenants, because it's, tenants are fighting over industrial spaces.
When you say inducements, you mean incentives like break clauses, for example?
Yes, break clauses, rent-free periods, the lack of a rent deposit. That's why those are the kind of things that tenants can negotiate in a tenant-friendly market.
Mahfuz, and I just want to go back onto your presentation in August. Just one thing for the listeners here, because you're a London-based law firm, although you've got offices in Manchester as well and international offices.
Yes.
Is it mostly a London-based clientele in terms of commercial, and you've got experience with commercial clients who are nationwide?
So we operate, our clientele tends to be mainly investors and developers, and for that reason, investors and developers, they go where the opportunities are. So for us, we've got investors investing in Plymouth, in Manchester, in Liverpool, in Birmingham. We've got clients from abroad who's invested in the UK. So for us, it's not necessarily just a London clientele. It's basically our clients tend to be investors, developers, asset management firms, investment firms, and they will go where the opportunities go. So for us, geography is not really that important.
Okay, just to summarise what you will be giving away in the presentation, yourself and Rudy Ramdashan, who's a partner also at Ronald Fletcher Baker. He's more than just a partner though, in terms of the classification from Legal 500, what's he classified as?
Rudy Ramdashan is a partner and head of the litigation department alongside with David Burns. Rudy is what you would call a recommended Legal 500 lawyer. That status you get is if you're well recognized as an expert in this industry, and very much so Rudy is one of those experts. He will be speaking alongside myself. So Rudy's got a really good background in commercial litigation, commercial property litigation, and so he's very much hands-on with when things do go wrong, and there needs to be acute ways of resolving those problems. So my specialism is more of a transactional part of the law, where I help clients acquire assets, sell assets, lease assets. So therefore we will both be teaming up together to give a presentation on the 15th of August, where we will cover where we believe where the opportunities lie in the commercial market, how does you get your lawyer to react to those needs, and we really will be covering as to how to protect yourself in case if things were to go wrong.
Okay, so just to summarize, it's about protection, it's about opportunities, and what was the third key thing?
I think the way to say that is to evolve with the market, adapt to the market. And as lawyers, we have to adapt to the market as well, because our clients, their requirements and needs change based on the market, and we need to.
Like 10 years ago, you had Amazon in UK. I'm not sure how long they've been in UK.
Well, it's like the prime example is like co-working spaces inside offices. So how do we arrange that from a legal perspective? Lawyers need to be at the forefront of advising your clients to be able to take advantage of those opportunities, and that's what we offer at Ronald Fletcher Baker. For us, it's a full-service legal firm that understands our clients' needs and understands how to reach those needs and deliver.
Look, I'm sure there's more questions. Hopefully you can make the upcoming event on August the 15th. If not, how can they get hold of you, Mahfuz?
Well,
Ronald Fletcher Baker Solicitors, what would be the website?
I definitely say there's a website RFB Legal, but you can Google us and Ronald Fletcher Baker. I'm sure we'll come up with one of the first links there. My name is Mahfuz Rahman, so my email and my contact details are on the website. And
So the website is rfblegal.co.uk?
.co.uk, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Look, I know there's more questions, and that's a perfect place to be on August the 15th. I'm really looking forward to it, really looking forward to the examples of industrial as well, because industrial isn't something which we cover on a regular basis at my property meets. Maybe it will be at some point more so. I know it's not all industrial you're going to be looking at, you're going to be looking at the wider picture.
Yeah, we'll be giving a kind of, it will be across the sectors, not just concentrated in one sector, and we'll just be changing what the different legal necessities depending on which sector you're working on. There's broad similarities between them as well, so it's not that they're completely different, but I
Stratford. Thank you.
thank you.
And thank
Yes.
you.